You've always been so supportive of all of the decisions that Adam and I have made, and we have made quite a lot of decisions over the last few years. We decided to buy a somewhat questionable flat, renovate it while living together during a global pandemic, and then if that wasn't stressful enough, we decided to get engaged, have a baby, and plan a wedding. And you never questioned us, at least not our faces. You genuinely were so supportive, and I feel very grateful to have you as my now parents-in-law. To the girls, I don't really know what to say. I feel like 7 bridesmaids is a lot, and I'm aware that it is. But I do also feel like I could have had 17, and I feel very lucky to have you all as my friends. You've been so good to me throughout the whole wedding thing, helping me make decisions, which is something that I am notoriously bad at, and just generally being there for me when I needed you. Particularly big thank you to my bridesmaids, because you gave me a low-key ending that I asked for. And it really was perfect, and I had the best time. I feel like this still isn't really projecting.
Close as possible.
Okay, I'm going to hold it. It feels like I'm getting the mic.
That's it.
Okay, who's next? Oh, right. Okay, so this is the slightly trickier part of my speech, so bear with me. The last year has been one of the best years of my life for a very small and cute reason, but it has also been one of the hardest years of my life too. Just over a year ago, we lost a very special friend, and I know, aside from the fact that he would be horrified at how much wedding costs, he would really love to have been here, and we miss him very much. And there are several other people who can be with us today who we are thinking of too. So it gets worse. So that's that. Now, I'm moving on to the family part, which just doesn't get any easier. So, Tom, thank you for the endless supply of picnics. And as cliched as it sounds, with being genuinely like a little brother to me, to Laurel, for the things that any sisters get, of all of our weakness and our unbeatable articulating abilities, and I don't know how else to say other than I really wouldn't be me without you. So my dad, for always being so strong, particularly in this last year, and despite your reputation as a secret and my fixation, but actually being a massive soft gene who taught us never to forget the puzzle. And to my mum, for being my very best friend. Quite a few people have asked me, since I've had them, if being a mum makes me appreciate my mum. And I thought I always knew how much it is for me and all, but that really has taken on a new meaning in the last year. Firstly, so it's been a bit of a stinker at times, but you've always been there for me and Laurel. You've always managed to just be our mum, and I just hope that I can do the same for him. Despite the fact that I talked maybe 5 minutes, and people tell them that a good speech is 5 minutes, the main reason that I wanted to do a speech today was that, because quite honestly, he never gets enough credit. I think I first realised quite how much Dad loved me when we first started working from home together during lockdown. I always thought that Adam was just the most patient person in the world. And then I started listening to him and watching him on his, at the time, very infrequent work calls. And I realised he actually wasn't all that patient at all. He was just very patient with me. And there have been times when I really pushed it. So there's a time, I've told quite a few people the story, when I was pregnant, when I'd seen a mouse in our kitchen, and I'm terrified of mice. And so for about 2 weeks, it could have been 3 weeks, every night when I woke up in the middle of the night and he took the toilet, I would wake up and make him take me with me. And I was pregnant at the time, so this was 2 or 3 times a night. And he never complained, again, at least not to me, and he always did it. And I really don't think there are many people that would do that. Now, don't get me wrong, there are times when he's taught me patience too. I think anyone that knows Adam would agree he is a massive nerd. Whether it's talking about dry brine on briskets, his PlayStation, or his new favourite, his MPG on a drive to a prom. He loves detail. So I think I actually let down a little bit when he got a new job that he wasn't allowed to talk about. But I'll go back to saying those things. So, you are my favourite things. You're tall and you're handsome. Your DIY skills are fantastic. You make me laugh every day. But you're also the most kind and generous person that I know. You gave me a ring, which is the best present ever. And I know that you always look after us. So, I promise, if you ever need escorting to the toilet, I'll do it, please. Can we all raise the bars? You have to go up a few steps for the sound.
In my heels. Now, when I said I'd like to do this speech, I didn't realise I'd be quite so exposed. In heels. And I always write my speeches. I do this speech, by the way. You may not know, ever recommend me after this, but I do.
2 seconds.
Yeah.
I've been told I'll bring this over.
Oh, any excuse. No. So I won't be able to hide the fact that I have written it out. And I've written it out because I have thought long and hard about this. And I didn't want to miss a single word from what I'm about to say. So I make no excuses for that. So I am going to read it. So it was going to be good afternoon, but it might be good evening now. And a very, very warm welcome to you all from me, the very, very proud mother of the beautiful bride. Michael will be sharing some very special memories of Ellie although he hasn't allowed me to even have a glimpse of his speech. So the control freak in me is somewhat nervous, but hey-ho. So what I wanted to do was to share with you just a few sentiments and talk about the special gifts Ellie has given to me over almost 32 amazing years. Undoubtedly, the biggest gift of all has been that of being her mum, my first baby girl. I remember so well the first glimpse of you and the wonderful surprise at that gorgeous halo of red hair. And just look at you now. You also turned me into a nervous wreck, and quite a few of my friends here witnessed that, because I never allowed you to be more than a couple of feet away from me, both night and day, for how many years? Like 25, something like that. You have and continue to give me such pleasure and happiness. The joy you have brought into my life is impossible to describe. You just keep me smiling. You have and continue to make me so proud of you. Not only because of your many, many achievements, but also because of your many acts of kindness and thoughtfulness to all of those around you, and particularly your wonderful friends and family. You have given me that unique friendship that grows between mother and daughter, which I have never, ever taken for granted. You have always been generous with your time and have been patient with me, even when I asked for too much. You have always been there for me with words of advice. Not all of it I wanted to hear, of course, but you were there. You have never, ever given me any trouble. Apart from the very occasional instance of seek forgiveness, not permission, although I'm sure the illegal camping at Furston Lake and the ill-fated trip to London as a teenager were not your idea, Ellie. Shame on you. You have and have always been so caring, and to continue to be even more so, even with the constraints of being a new mum. And you give me hope. But most of all, you give me that wonderful, unconditional love of a daughter. And I love you so much for that. As a mother, it's almost impossible to believe that someone can love your daughter as much as you do. And then they meet their partner, and you see the very special bond and love that the two of them have. And then they have a baby. Yes, a baby. And you see the pure joy and love through the many smiles, giggles, and gestures that she gives to you. So thank you, Ellie and Adam, for giving me the most special gift of being a grandparent, a nana. Ellie, you will always be the very heart of our family, and thank you. And of course, Adam, thank you, and Ren, for keeping us at the very heart of your new family. Everybody here loves Ellie. I love you a little bit more.
Right. I'll excuse my back of my head. I hope it doesn't bounce too much light. It's the... it probably will. It's the dad's turn. Now, you might be thinking it's just a one-pager. Sadly, it's not. The other one's in my pocket because I can't handle the microphone and a piece of paper, I don't think. And also, right. It's quite dark here, isn't it? Anyway, on behalf of Christina, Helen and John, and of course myself, I'd like to welcome all of you here on this wonderful day where we can celebrate Ellie and Adam finally getting together officially to be a married couple. So that's wonderful from the four of us. You've travelled from far and wide. Neil's come from Sweden, Katie and Ben from South Africa, which really is far, and there's, I'm sure, others from as wide as well, and some are from close by. I really can't read this in the dark. Is that a pair of reading glasses? That's brilliant. Yeah, thanks very much indeed. Yeah. Oh, that's absolutely magical. Thank you so much. And I hope I look amazing in these, right? Right. So, the whole point of a dad speaking is to be nice to his daughter. So, as I kick off my little tribute to my gorgeous daughter, who I now can't see through the reading glasses, I would also like to thank someone here who's got form, I'm told, for heckling at events like this. And she's been known to come out with loud exclamations of disbelief. Now, when I was sat next to her, she assured me she wouldn't. Now that I'm not sat next to her, she might. So I'm thanking you in advance, Miss Potter, Mrs. Horn, for keeping those urges in check. Equally, I've got some form for being a little cheeky, irreverent, and sometimes a bit sarcastic. So I'll make it clear up front that today I shall say only nice things, which when talking about my Ellie is very easy. As she is the kindest, most caring person you'd wish to know, whether you're a dad, a mum, a sister, a friend, a colleague, or indeed a baby looking up to her mummy. If I was to pick out a few adjectives to describe her, which funnily enough I have, they are that she's radiant, clever, funny, kind, and a bit of a worrier. She's determined, loyal, and so caring about things, and above all, people, and the people that she loves. From her early years, Ellie always seemed shy and quiet. That's because she was shy and quiet. But she had a fierce loyalty and an absolute determination that we saw in the care that she took in doing things well and in looking after her little sister and her friends. Like the precision she had when she could barely walk in taking marbles out of a bag one by one and then putting them back in one by one. And she later translated that into the precision of a bake-off standard cake baking and cake decorating. And I think many of us have tasted and seen Ellie's cakes, and they are remarkably good. That said, for someone so shy and quiet, she also showed her scary side occasionally, like when I was clearly instructed that there was a pavlova in the oven cooling, which I, of course, forgot almost the instant she said it. I put the oven on, I think it's for a turkey, and I charcoaled the contents. I'm very lucky to be standing here and telling this story. Or another time when Christina and I just got an ordinary Christmas tree, which apparently didn't come up to scratch, and we got told that we had ruined Christmas. And that resulted in her storming out and exiting the house. But she returned a little while later with an appropriately jumbo-tastic tree, which she transported in her little Renault Clio, so that was pretty awesome. But she's fierce beyond belief when provoked. When I wrote this, I said, but I'm sure Adam is well aware of that already. I actually know he is well aware of that, because something happened on Thursday, and we witnessed him catching the butt end of slightly angry Ellie, and that ran into Friday and might still be rolling today. Who knows? Anyway, back to my my little girl. When she was really little, she did gymnastics in Milton Keynes, where we lived, and she was pretty good. So Christina and I went to see her compete. We were very proud, and we were thinking, ooh, tiny little girl, really shy. How's it going to go? And there was our little red-headed girl on the beam, of all things, which is only 4 inches wide, doing Simone Biles-esque moves. And then she fell off. And we were mortified for her because, I mean, yeah, she was really, really shy then. But she got up, she dusted herself off, she hopped back on the beam and she completed the routine, which we thought was pretty damn cool. So you're taking on the heckling mantle. Like it. Okay. So there's a time she decided she wanted to scuba dive, and we were away with friends in Croatia. She went to a German dive school, which is a bit weird in Croatia, but she did. And her instructor spoke no English. So they said, never mind, doesn't matter. When you're underwater, you can't hear anything anyway. Me and Christina were a bit worried about this. Ellie, she didn't care. She just submerged serenely into the Adriatic. She's a brave little slender stick, my girl. And then to exemplify her loyalty, she's got an amazing bunch of chums from Milton Keynes, most of whom are here today. There they go. We've known them all since they're about 12. They're a lovely bunch of girls. When Ellie moved to uni, she moved away from Milton Keynes, of course. She schlepped around a huge amount to make sure that she stayed in touch and to make sure they all got together, and she was and is always there for any of the gang. And it's really heartwarming to see, and they're such a lovely bunch of girls, heckling tendencies aside. Okay. Seamlessly, getting towards the end. And she's bright, which she obviously gets from her mum. And she works really hard, which she also gets from her mum. So she basically took herself off around the country researching which university would suit her best, and then she landed herself a first in psychology with cognitive neuroscience, and I now know what that is, from the University of Nottingham. And that sits brilliantly with her questioning and analytical mind, and in seeing multiple sides of any argument. And you can see how she applies her insights into all walks of life, including researching the hell out of baby care. So little Wren is remarkably well served in that respect. And here we are now, where Ellie is looking absolutely glowing, radiant and lovely with her wonderful Adam and little Wren. That's a nice echo for Christina and I, as Ellie too was a flower girl for our wedding. Back then, Ellie was a few months older than Wren is now, so she could walk, and she was toddling about, and she actually stole the show while in a pre-being shy moment when Christina was giving her speech. And she had a huge ribbon in her hair, well, round her head, because she didn't have a lot of hair. And maybe that's where she got a penchant for bows on babies. In closing, I need to give a few words to Adam. Right? Apart from being a gentle giant, he's just the loveliest guy. He's got a valuably and astonishingly encyclopedic knowledge of beer, any meat product, and a remarkable ability to build anything out of anything. He clearly adores our Ellie. Christina and I couldn't be happier to have him as part of the extending family, as we know he'll care for her and will look after her and make her happy. And of course, little baby Wren. So what a perfect point we've reached here. Two of the loveliest people are now the loveliest couple. And they've become the loveliest trio with the addition of the little grimy eater and occasionally smelly-bottomed critter known as baby Wren. They've got a gorgeous flat in the up-and-coming Walthamstow East 17. They've created that themselves with their little bundle, who they also created themselves, for. They're in good jobs. We can't talk about Addies because it's hush-hush, as everyone knows. And they're planning their next steps, and you can see in their eyes how much they care and love one another and the little one. So I'll close out now with thanks for listening without barracking. And I'd like to wish the both of you all the very best with heartfelt wishes for your futures. You've given us and will continue to give us the hugest of pleasure in seeing how good the two of you are together and in giving us little Wren to enjoy as a baby without all the ghastly grime of having your own baby, which is a real grandparent bonus. I'll look through for some brilliant quote to finish off with. I scoured the web. The one that stuck out for me is this: you know you're in love when you don't want to fall asleep, because reality is finally better than your dreams. That should have come from a scholarly author, Actually, curious enough, it's from Theodore Geisel, who's also known as Dr. Zeus. Anyway, Ellie clearly has that sentiment in her heart because she hasn't been sleeping much at all for the last year. And Eddie has been sleeping less than he'd like to, which obviously has nothing to do with the fact, with the arrival of their little cutie pie, and is all to do with how much they love one another. So please, let's stand, raise a glass to Eddie and Adam, Ellie and Adam.
So I didn't realise I'd be following the Odell family of professional speechwriters, but I've dried my face and I think I'm good to go. Thank you everyone for being here. As mentioned, a lot of people have travelled a long way. It's often difficult, getting to any sort of event, but coming to somewhere in central London where there's issues with parking, travelling around, certain people not being able to get to the train station on time to arrive when they said they would to help out. Many things can go wrong. Thanks to Mike and Chrissy so much for both your lovely speeches and all your help with getting the wedding ready. There's so many little things that you both helped out with just along the way that sort of get swept under the rug because there's just an endless list of things. And then on top of that, you've been so fantastic this year with looking after Ren. Even though it's been such a difficult year for both of you, you've always been there when we've needed. And you've just welcomed me into the family with such open arms. And I really hope our current agreement of copious amounts of food in exchange for minor amounts of DIY is going to continue for many years. Mum and Dad, big thank you to you as well. We literally wouldn't be here today without all the help you've given us. As you can see by how silent Ren has been for the past half an hour, you're both so fantastic with Ren. You're just such natural grandparents, and she just seems so. She's not really looked at me today, but she's had such a great time with the two of you. So, thank you so much for all your help. I guess that should also go to Ben, who basically just uses her as a little bicep training device as he walks around, curling her in any London pub he can get his hands on her. I feel like we're running out of Ren time. She's just looking out the window already. I feel like you've looked after the three of us kids so well through all of our childhood, and apart from a minor blip where you accidentally overfed us for 10 years straight, we've actually ended up as being fairly well-balanced individuals, and not once did social services come around to take any food out of our mouths. So thank you very much for that. So the first toast, if you would, to the wonderful mums and dads. Next up, big thank you to all the bridesmaids. I know there's been a lot of work that's been going on behind the scenes, getting Ellie ready to get here today. You managed to get her to the town hall on time, and I definitely haven't lost any sleep over that for the past week because it was a risk. There's been so much that's been happened, especially from people like Kate, who's helped up, as Ellie said, with a lot of just the background things that can otherwise go unnoticed. So it's a big thank you to all of you. Extra big thank you to the bridesmaid, or the maids of honours, with the tongue twister combo of names, Lauren and Laurel. You guys have done so much to help out. You've constantly been at the end of the phone for Ellie whenever she's needed anything. And I feel like I've seen the back of Ellie's phone more than I have her face for a lot of the wedding conversations, because the two of you have just been there constantly, reassuring her that she's chosen the right flowers and she's chosen the right venue. There's the heckling. There it is. So thank you so much for all you've done. You really have been wonderful. Quick thank you to the groomsmen. you've helped out today. That was good. Whoever planned the stag do, you did a really good job. No, you've all been such great mates. We all had a great fun on the stag do. Apart from a small blip during Friday evening when I nearly died because of accidentally doing a spicy Korean hot wings challenge, and I genuinely thought I was going to have to call an ambulance. It was getting pretty serious. Other end of the table didn't really know what was going on, but they were like, he's really struggling and he's only had 3 beers. So, but yeah, second toast. If everyone would join me to the lovely bridesmaids and the groomsmen. And the bridesmaids look beautiful, I've been told. I've only got eyes for one person though, so I wouldn't know. Speaking of, as some of you may know, Ellie and I met through a popular bee-themed dating app. And when I first saw her profile, the first thing I thought was, wow, she's only a quarter of a mile away. How convenient is that? That one went down well. Despite the close proximity, I did have a few worries in the early days. My first worry was on our first date, when I thought Ellie was too cool for me, but luckily I was wrong about that. I was then worried that your highly protective sister wouldn't accept me, especially after we got told off for kissing too loudly in the kitchen. But she seems to have warmed a little bit after I've given her a lovely little niece to sort of placate her. All right. Ren didn't like that. And then I was worried that you'd never come around to my house again after you discovered how infrequently I washed my sheets as a young man. And then even more so when you discovered the mouse scuttling about in the kitchen. But one of my favourite things about you is that you'll always worry about everyone else's happiness before you worry about your own good times. And you're never really comfortable until everyone around you is happy and is having the best time of their lives. So hopefully everyone's having a good time. Your caring side has just been emphasised since we've had Ren. And I love seeing how great of a mum you are to her every single day. And I can't wait to see what a wonderful little person she's going to go into under your care. My favourite thing about being stuck in the house with you over lockdown is being around to see and hear all of the cute little things that you do for Ren when you think I can't hear because I'm at work. Especially all of the little songs that you make up for her to get her to try and do things, such as the a cappella version of Put Your Hands Up for Detroit when you're trying to get her dressed. And the Ellie O'Dell original, You're Going in Your Sleeping Bag, which turns out very gentle and comforting and very quickly gets quite threatening the more she's playing up. When the time came to propose to Ellie, I wasn't nervous at all, partly because we just spent 8 months of lockdown together, stuck in a house, which was in the middle of being renovated, and we were still talking to each other. Partly because you spent most of those 8 months showing me photos of the ring you wanted. So I knew that you were kind of up for it. But I also knew that you weren't one to shy away from commitments, because shortly before that we'd made a fairly serious commitment, the two of us, and it wasn't Ren. It's a thing that happened late one Thursday night / Friday morning when you'd been out at some work drinks. And under the influence of an Irish colleague who will be unnamed, but Ellie did just look at, she's over here somewhere, Ellie had a few too many Ribenas, and on her way home decided to get herself a nice little fried chicken snack to keep her going on the journey home, which she apparently enjoyed so much so that when she finally got in the front door, she wouldn't let me go up the stairs until I had repeated back to her a set of very serious, very repetitive, fried chicken-based vows, which included, among other things, the password for the Marauders map from Harry Potter. I promised to always get her more chicken than I thought she would eat. One loud burp, which she made me mimic back to her. I promised to always get her fried chicken, even if she said she didn't want any. The password for the Marauders map again, because she thought it was funny the first time. I promised to always pay for her fried chicken, even if I had no money. A quick story about how she remembered that you have to go to the cash point before you go to the chicken shop because they don't have a card machine. That she made me repeat back to her word for word. About 2 minutes of silent laughing that I thought was turning into a cry, but was actually Ellie trying to do the password to the Marauders map again. And then it finished with Ellie taking my head in her hands, not gently cupping my face, but as if she was trying to pick me up by the skull, looked into my eyes, and then just walked away. And finally, before I hand over to Nils, the best man, I should warn you about the content of his speech for two main reasons. One is that he's obsessed with bad photos of me, to the point where he has started developing Adam Keeble jigsaw puzzles, of which we have one at home unopened, because it's like 1,000 pieces of a bad photo of me. But if the screen comes down again and you have to sit through like a 45-minute slideshow of photos from uni, I apologise. Secondly, I was best man at Nils' wedding a few years ago, and I thought I gave a rather lovely speech that me and Ellie edited on our second ever date, which was very cute. However, Ellie warned me to take out a particularly risky joke, and I did not, because I'd only just met her. And it went down about as well as if I'd physically assaulted him during his first dance. So it might get a bit spicy, and if it does, I apologise. But before I hand over, would you all join me in one final toast to my wonderful bride?
After that graceful entrance. Right, so as Adam's already covered a lot of the stories now that I was going to tell about him, so I'll have to improvise along some bits. But as Adam said, I'm the best man, or he's actually dubbed me the best-ish man, and I have the hip flask that he had made for me to prove it. It literally says best-ish man. This is related to the amount of work that I've put into this wedding, which he also alluded to, which is entirely accurate. It's been very limited. But based on how nervous Ellie was about me just bringing the rings to the wedding, I think that was for the best. And I wasn't worried about bringing the rings until you told me Ellie was worried about me bringing the rings. So all day I've been clutching the rings like I was bloody Gollum, just in case I lose them. But I do take my job of trash-talking Adam very seriously because of the aforementioned, I'm going to refer to it as an incident at my own wedding. But before I move on to that, I also want to thank everyone who actually was involved in organising the wedding. And again, to be clear, that was not me. And everyone did a very much better job than I would have done. So I think that's, again, for the best. It is your wedding, so I will also sporadically say some nice things about you. That's what I wrote here. But everyone's been so bloody nice to you already today that I don't really feel like you need more ego boosts in here. But I will start with a story of what a nice and loyal friend Adam is. So me and Adam met at a university, the way all alpha males do, playing volleyball. This is going to be rough. That wasn't the jokey bit. We were maybe a little bit less Batman and Robin, and more of mice and men, at least in terms of height discrepancy. But as an 18-year-old, Adam had not quite sort of grown into his limbs yet and didn't have full control of them. So Adam actually started on the second team. And we weren't friends at all to start with. We were both sort of arrived at uni single and competing for girls and playing for different teams. But eventually we did get girlfriends, and we were coerced into friendship by our girlfriends at the time. And it did take a while after getting those girlfriends before we became friends, because Adam spent the first couple of months trying to convince my girlfriend at the time, wife, to run away with his current best friend at the time. Something I did not find out about until years later. So I never got the chance to retaliate. So Ali, I will introduce you to each and every single one of my single friends along the way, just to keep Adam on his toes. But fortunately for me, Adam failed in that particular endeavor. And fortunately for all of us celebrating Adam and Ellie today, his relationship failed too. Failing his way to the top the way only a white middle-class man can do. But maybe allude more to Jess's speech earlier about finding the wrong one before you find the right one. And the end of his relationship was through no sabotage on my part. I just want to add that as well. But that was the first time. So when they eventually broke up, I was good friends with Adam, and as a result, I was part of the Adam support team. And that was the first time I had to deal with sort of newly single Adam when he was my friend. And that was an interesting experience, because single Adam's highest calling in life is drinking and partying quite heavily, being exceptionally laddie, and find it very difficult to understand why not everyone else has realized that should also be their highest calling, even though it wasn't his a week earlier. That phase involved a lot of nodding and smiling on my part. But it only lasts so long, because Adam is fundamentally a relationship guy. You wouldn't expect a man with a jawline like Adam's to be so bad at being single, but he is. So he wasn't actually happy again until he found a new relationship. He was very sulky and grumpy. And as a result, that's one of the reasons I'm so happy that you found Ellie, because you've never been happier than you are with her. And so I'm very happy for Adam that he found her, but I'm also very grateful to Ellie that I no longer have to deal with laddie single Adam, because it's a bloody nightmare. But it wasn't all bad, of course, and I will say some actual nice things, because the story of how Adam was a loyal friend was how he was loyal to his other friend, trying to set him up with my girlfriend, and not necessarily to me. But a lot of our time at uni was spent playing a zombie game called or Black Ops 2 until the early hours of the morning. This was quite a high adrenaline game if you're as rubbish as I was. And without fail, to go to the early hours of the morning, I would not want to walk home alone because I was too scared. And Adam would always roll his eyes, but he would always be like, oh, fine, just stay over. And I always would. So I know that Ellie's chosen Adam because she also mentioned it in her speech, because he's kind and generous and an excellent big spoon. But eventually, of course, we graduated, and I told Adam that I was leaving the UK. After giving the silent treatment for about 2 weeks, he accepted his fate and mine, I guess. But he has since come to visit me in every country and city I've moved to since, because as I mentioned, he is a very loyal friend, something that now also extends to me. But I think it's helped in the recent years that his friend Matt moved away to New Zealand, so further away, so replaced me as public enemy number one. So this is a shout out to Matt Yandel, who couldn't make it here today because he's further away from making me look good. But between leaving uni and today, there's been a couple of iterations of single Adam that we've had to deal with, and the therapeutic zombies that comes with, as well as the compulsory post-zombie cuddles. Adam also discovered his love of trains. He's since fallen out of love with trains, he claims. I have photos to disprove that. You didn't actually tell me that it'd be projected, otherwise I would have had a slideshow, and it would have been great. I understand why you didn't, but I still dislike you for it. But also a lot of milestones along the way, including houses, proposals, and stag do's. And it is compulsory to mention the stag do as the best man, I think. I would love to tell you that this was a wild affair full of debauchery, but I think a more fitting word for a number of us was probably that it was a humbling affair. And that in the course of a 2-year pandemic, we'd all aged about 10 years. There was a lot of ambition on day one, and a lot of antacids and bloated tummies on day 2. And as Adam also alluded to, there's a couple of people who only just made it through, including Adam because of the aforementioned Hot Wings challenge, which he should not have accepted. You can ask him if he thinks that the facilities at Brew York will ever be the same. But he had Ellie to nurse him back to health once he got home. And I think I'll also say some nice things about Ellie. So I think what you hope for when your friend finds a partner is that you find someone that you want to be friends with regardless. And I think in that respect, Adam has definitely succeeded. And I do chat with Ellie regularly about everything from book recommendations to how to soothe or deal with grumpy babies or deal with grumpy Adam. There is some overlap in the solutions there that I think you might be able to figure out. But overall, we've joked that Adam was ready for marriage for about a decade now because he's a relationship person. But I'm very glad that he waited until he found you. And you've gone through a lot together. And now that you've gone over what I think is the biggest challenge in your relationship, I think you're home free. And you might think that that's parenting, but it's not. It's when Adam lost his love for trains and left TfL and could no longer provide free rail travel for Ellie, which is not what she signed up for. And I think that the fact that you waited to leave TfL until you had a child together is pretty convenient. But I think that that's a bigger challenge for you because I never had any doubts that you would be great parents. In Ellie's case, because you can already deal with Adam. And in Adam's case, because anyone who's heard his jokes, although your speech, excellent, I confess, a lot of dad jokes there. So he's been a dad in his mind for a long time, and I think his body's just starting to catch up now. So very hypocritical of me to say I accept that. But yeah, I think the only thing that Ren and any future children have to worry about is ever sitting comfortably on a Ryanair flight. I think that they'll have a lovely long life full of happy memories other than that. Now, I don't think that Ellie needs any advice from me on how to deal with Adam. She already, as you mentioned in your speech, know that you'll have to deal with sawdust in every corner of the apartment based on his DIY activities. You might find brewing equipment strewed across the hallway, and then disproportionate amount of money spent on barbecue equipment. But there is one additional tip that I'll give you. You should keep your electronic devices separate, because I found out the hard way at university that to Adam, the word incognito is just a big word he does not understand. Nor does he clear his browser history. And I look forward to some of you explaining that one to your elderly relatives. Now, you might think that I've gone fairly easy on Adam here, and there's two reasons for that. So, when Adam was his best man, as he said, he told quite a racy joke, so he spent about half of his speech making masturbation jokes in front of my elderly family. There's two reasons I haven't gone after him quite so severely today. One is that my elderly family don't speak English, so it did not really sting that much. But the second one is, as Adam mentioned, that Ellie, on their second date, recommended he take that joke out. So based on Ellie's sage advice, I think it's very much in my interest to keep Ellie around to stop him from making further such mistakes. So I don't want to give her any second doubts at this point. But I'll wrap up now, and I just want to say in a more sort of sincere way that I think we probably thought we were pretty grown up when we met at uni as 18-year-olds, which is laughable now, of course. But I think the advantage of meeting so young is that we've gotten to go through quite a lot together, a lot of highs and lows, and the aforementioned adult milestones. So I just want to finish by saying that it's been a privilege growing up with you. And I look forward to growing old alongside the both of you. So to Adam and Ellie, to a long and happy life. Cheers.